And hello, racing fans. Welcome to round 2 of RST Competizione 2.4 hours, season 3. Tonight we are at Snetterton, the bombed out old airfield that's looking pretty good, I must say. For those of you who are just joining us, round 1 saw a very interesting race at Suzuka where we had rain showers coming in, and you'd think, well, that's Japan. That's going to be a nice, lovely, warm onsen, while in Britain it's just going to be nothing but a cold prison shower. So tonight we have 32 intrepid drivers going to be driving with us here this evening, and we have pairs who are going to be doing a 2.4-hour race, and what that's going to mean for them is they're going to have a maximum total of 90 minutes driving time with a restriction of 40 minutes per stint. So they're going to be a little bit of strategizing there for each of these teams. And one thing that we're going to be certainly looking forward to, the possibility of rain interrupting the festivities here, as we saw last week in Suzuka. Remember, it's Britain, it could change at any moment. So for the quick catch up for those who might have missed round 1, Emma Platt and Justin Madley took victory in their Ferrari back at Suzuka in round 1, so we're going to be seeing how things will shake out for this round here, when top 3 starting this evening will be Steady Start Racing and Racing Sim Tools Esports, red and black respectively, for positions 2 and 3. So tonight, some of you might be wondering, is this an Audi Fest? Well, it kind of is, but then again, so is the real SROs. We've got the brand new Audi R8 Evo 2, 7 of those on track, Aston Martin, 3 BMWs, 1 Ferrari, 2 Lambos, 2 Lexuses, or should we call it Lexi? Who knows? We'll have a pair of those, 3 McLarens, 2 Mercedes, and 4 Porsches taking up that rear-wheel drive position. So tonight, joining me in the broadcast booth, we have Ollie, the man behind the cameras, running the directors, and Chris is sitting beside me for some color commentary. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we this evening?
Hello. I'm doing all right, I think. I'm just having my cookies and my chocolate milk, and I'm settling down for tonight to see some good action. What about you, Chris?
Oh, I'm absolutely riveted to my seat, ready to see this race and see how these drivers take this action tonight. How about you?
Well, yeah, it should be a good race. Hopefully we can see these folks get off with a clean start, as we'll see Xerax and Emma on the front row. But yeah.
All right, so we are looking at an interesting and very narrow track layout this evening. Some people have referred to Snetterton being a little suggestive, but we'll leave that to the viewer's imagination. While we're waiting for everyone to load their setups, final strategizing, tire selections, and that sort of thing, let's just give all of our sponsors a quick shout out. So RWB International, we are here on their YouTube channel. Racing Sim Tools, obviously, are the title sponsor for this particular series, with it being RST Competizione. We have SimSock, SimRace, 247.com, and Next Level Racing, who I must say, I'm loving my shiny new FGT rig. So shout out to them as well. So we have just over a minute left before we're going to be starting this one off. And interestingly enough, the event description, I was just reading that. So we're going to see which pairing will have the ascendancy tonight. I must say I was really looking forward to seeing, I believe it was Jake Moore and Marin Edwards had a really excellent showing. Unfortunately, perhaps taking the risky call not to swap onto the dry tires with the drying track, and unfortunately those balloons meant that car unfortunately fell like a stone, and that's I know that's going to be a real heartbreaker, especially knowing Marin, because she tends to pride ourselves on making her car as wide as possible and really defending. But on tires that had turned to marshmallows, that must have been really rough. So we'll see how these particular drivers are going to handle this situation. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm seeing a car that might be starting the pit lane this evening, gents.
Yeah, I don't know, but we should maybe try and go into some detail about the our opening grid, as if I'll do folks myself. But Emma Plate is currently on pole for today with his teammate, as well as Zerax in the P2 spot. In P3 we have Jake Moore, followed by the 193 of Patrick Nemosvi. In P5 we have George Crockett and Jack Alexander in P6. P7 we have Pinners, as we like to call him here at RWB, followed by Adam Sharp and Turo Negion. Round out your top 10 we have Kieran Millward and Flack in P11. P12 we have Mad Al and Harvey Bates. In P15 we have Sky Red and Josh Butler.
All right, and ladies and gentlemen, we are, and sorry, pardon me in all non-binary denominations, begging your 1,000 pardons. We are now approaching the start lights, and the green flag is about to be shown.
Easy.
And
Green.
yes, and we are green. It is time to boogity, and let's see if everyone can navigate Rich's first.
Dear
and
Lord,
foremost.
that lunge right at the
I
beginning.
think that was a huge move. I believe that was Racing Sim Tools Red. Was that? I believe Jake Moore making the big lunge up through Rich's, and first one to clear Montreal. Remember, that one is a tight squeeze through Montreal, so it can be a little bit tricky to navigate with the cars bunched up like that.
Well, yeah, it's this circuit does have 12 corners on the track as we're going into what I forgot what you call it. Me and Chris talked about this one before. And we're like, how do we pronounce it? But anyway, he's going into Houghton now, and Jake Moore running a little bit wide, allowing for Zerax to get onto the tail of him and pushing Jake Moore out a little bit wide. But it's all right because they're back onto the Bentley straight. Should be a good one coming down into Brundle.
Yeah, for anyone who's maybe not too familiar with the Snetterton layout, or this one specifically, the Brundle left and then the kink of Nilsson can actually be really difficult, as you're seeing there. The runoff isn't exactly the friendliest, so it's really important that you make sure you hit those apexes and exits, but also try and make your car as wide as possible so somebody can't maybe hang one around the outside of Brundle. They're going into the Nilsson turn. Now, obviously, the big one to watch out for is that bomb hole. Thankfully, it's already been exploded, or long since been exploded, and you just got to watch out for the little dip as the cars now make their way past, or finishing the first lap. And I don't believe we saw any yellow flags, so well done, everyone, for making it through the first lap cleanly.
Yeah, it was a good start. What do you think so far, Chris?
Honestly, I have to wonder, that immediate lunge from the beginning, it was a very strong move, but I have to wonder if it has settled his nerves any, because he made that mistake quite a little bit way down the road. So I'm trying to wonder here, was he settling himself in, or was he still that little bit anxious from the beginning and he hasn't quite settled yet?
Yeah, he probably wanted a very good getaway so he can try and lead this 2.4 hour round here at Snetterton just nice and cleanly, and not have a very interesting race. But we do want an interesting race, but he'll probably want to keep it calm and very controlled in that Audi. There's two Audis leading at the moment.
Well, thankfully we don't have quite the Audi parade, but as we're seeing with Mo Plate, he's going to be, he's currently in third position right now, and what we're seeing is, again, another somewhat measured start from our race one winners. as obviously what I'm going to try and get a little bit into the head of Jake Moore right now, is trying to get out in the lead and make things as easy as possible for when Marin Edwards gets into the car, so she can essentially have a gap to play with, and then if they do come under a little bit of attack later in the race, then she has an easier job of defending with Snetterton being one of the narrower tracks. Although, just judging by how Jake is managing to take that corner versus the 89, I'm wondering if maybe the 88s just they maybe found a little bit of extra setup mojo compared to their RST teammates, in that it's just handling the high speed sections just a little bit better compared to the 89 car.
Yeah, I mean, could be a better shout for the 88 car. That was what you said, the 88 car, but yeah, the 88 car has just got the fastest lap by just over 100th. So that's going close for the first lap, as they're just reaching just under a second on my deltas on pit wall.
I have to wonder though. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
As a quick update for those perhaps not aware, we do have the pit wall up and running. So if you are wanting to see the live timings, just click on the link below there on YouTube, and you can open up pit wall and see some of the live timings. Right now, holding the purple lap is Jake Moore with a 1:47.707. He has a purple first and third sector, but Xerax has the purple middle sector, so perhaps one Audi's working a little bit better at the high speed versus another one working perhaps a little bit better on the tighter sector 2 middle section. So in a way, you might be able to gather that that would make sense, that Jake Moore was able to get that jump at Riches and get ahead such that Xerax would be able to necessarily take him or re-overtake at Montreal, where the track obviously narrows and you're really having to worry about making that corner as basically as wide as possible, and especially on that exit, whereas Jake just seemed to have a little bit more traction. So now moving back a little bit further in the field, following with George Crockett here in P6 and 304 Azuri Ecos car. They are now on the approach to Agostini, probably one of the narrowest and most tricky portions of those tracks. And also, one thing to remember around here, it can be very rough on the tires. Those sharp-edged exit curves can really do a number on the rubber around here. So it's going to be really important, especially if these drivers potentially are going to be, even though their stint timer is 40 minutes, if you abuse too many of those curbs, and with the white lines being the boundary compared to the end of the exit curb, as per some of the other racetracks you might be familiar with, it's a really delicate balance. You can't just necessarily go full out and just trust the runoff areas and slam over the curbs as hard as you can, because those sharp exit curbs especially, those can do an absolute number on your tires even after only 40 minutes with this harder compound.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a little bit rough, like you know how World War II was used. Well, this used to be an old RAF base, as you said at the start of the stream. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit rougher than most circuits of all the altercations in heights and stuff. But yeah,
I have to also think, joining in on that, you have to think with how rough the track is, how's that going to affect, the fellas at the end of the steering wheel? Are they going to have, issues with how rough it is? Does somebody accidentally, for some reason unknown, have the force feedback setting a little bit too high? That could affect somebody in a fatigue and everything. So you got to wonder if these guys put in enough training.
Sorry, just to interrupt here, we have Harvey Bates currently in the 29 car taking looks like 11th position from the 46 McLaren with nice pass just through Agostini and over into Hamilton corner. Looks like that at least that Porsche was seeming to have a little bit better traction and managing to do some stellar maneuvers over that McLaren in the tighter section of the track. Although with the if anyone's following current British GT, that you'd think that McLaren's going to be super strong around the British tracks, but Team Parker Racing is running the Porsche in the Real Life series, and they're actually making some serious moves as the McLaren loses another position to Martin Schaffer in Soul Racing, and it looks like there are some struggles there for that 46 McLaren, at least here early doors. Although it seems like perhaps maybe some unsettled nerves, some early tire dramas, or minor excursions through the grass for a few of these cars here, as we now see a couple of mini packs forming as the Racing Sim Tools cars pull away. The rest of the groups further down seem to be bunching up and forming their own little battles.
Yeah. But yeah, we're seeing Harvey Bates just have a little bit of a nibble with the Porsche. No, not the Porsche, the Audi overhead, as they're just under around about 5 temps away from each other. So
it looks like the Porsche's overcooked it.
Yeah, he's overcooked it a little bit, but hopefully he can try and keep his ways ahead of Martin Schaffer as they come through the. Oh, whereabouts is this? Is this after Hamilton and then?
There's Augies to Williams, and now they would be approaching the Bentley Straight as we speak.
Yes. Alright, come down Bentley Straight into Brundle. Is the BMW going to catch up? I know Martin Schaffer is a very good driver. He was on contention for the win round, what do we call it, round Barcelona last time we were here. Not here, on the channel I mean. So it's getting close, folks, it's getting close.
Absolutely, with these, with the field now, generally speaking, spreading out with that we're a few laps in, but also at the same time, some of these packs are starting to close up as the various pace differences come into play right now. And remember, with this particular format, one thing to remember is that only one gold or platinum driver is allowed per car, so no stacking the deck with your pairs. You're going to need to pair up with a silver, bronze, or potentially even a rookie with these pairings. So for those who are somewhat familiar, you definitely need to have the senpai and the kohai in the same car. You can't run two of the same gold or platinum alien drivers in the same car.
Oh yeah, some of these drivers are literal aliens. They've spent countless hours on this game, or sim as it's called, really. But yeah, I'm just looking at the sector times, folks. It looks like our top man, Jake Moore, has only got the best sector 1. And then the sector 2 is going to the number 77 of Turo Neogen. Sorry if I butcher any names tonight with a fellow crew, but it's going to be a tough one to get around all these names. As we see the Audi have a little bit of a pinch with the Lamborghini of Adam Sharp, I believe, as we're on board with him with the rear wing camera. As it's getting a little bit dicey behind, Pinners is just making his way away from the BMW of Turo, as they are approaching the 2 hours and 11 minutes left of this race.
Yes, we're starting to see some of the battles start forming here as our battle for this looks to be for position 7, although 6 is not much further up the road at this point, and cars now approaching the Montreal hairpin. Interesting how some seem to be taking some varying lines with this. The Montreal hairpin. Some people starting out very wide and trying to square it off as much as possible. Some people are perhaps doing what's often referred to as the Seb Vettel line, running a little bit deep and then cutting back a lot more harshly to V it off a little bit more. And some are just doing perhaps a little bit of, or slightly less of a washout wide, but seems to be interesting. Oh, as we've got now a little bit of a tag there and a sideways, well, a bobbed BMW and a momentarily sideways Audi. As although everyone do be careful on the rejoins, because the last thing we want is for there to be a lot of collateral damage.
I look to see that Naijan got a little bit too greedy on that double apex right in the middle. He didn't realize that the Audi ahead of him was gonna lift up a little bit, but there.
Wow, he got a very bad exit to that corner. But yeah, Toro Napone is as I've been told by one of our admins that it is Napone. But yeah, we're on board with the number 15 of Pinners, who's just in front of this Porsche here, which I believe is Harvey Bates. So the grid is getting dicey now. It's getting all mixed up, and hopefully there can be a good battle of actions. The Porsche runs a little bit wider than expected at Rich's, and into the Montreal hairpin. He's on the inside.
Sorry, we're also having a car off on the left.
Oh, yeah, was one in the grass as well. So, but yeah, anyways, still on board with Harvey Bates, who's just making his way, into the corner that is named after an Italian motorbike racer, Aurista, I believe.
Yep, a lot of people might not necessarily know about Snetterton. Is there is a little bit of motorcycle racing going on there as well, although I believe they do use a slightly different configuration. I remember with a lot of these British racing circuits, they do have multiple configurations, and in this particular circuit it is the full GT layout as we're seeing here. Remember, there's the Club one, I believe it's Club, Continental, and a short track version as well for different kinds of cars. So you perhaps turn up to watch MX Cup here right at Snetterton in person, you might find, well, hey, that layout is a little bit different than what I saw on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Well, that would be the reason why they do have multiple layouts, and
yeah.
As a result, the track configuration might not necessarily be quite the same as what you're used to. And in fact, for those who are familiar with Silverstone, they might realize that Formula One actually starts on the Hamilton Straight as opposed to the GT cars, especially for British GT. They start on what is the old start-finish straight. The national. And we're seeing Martin Schaffer perhaps showing a little bit of the nose of his BMW in the mirrors of the Audi of Crockett ahead, just trying to perhaps unsettle a competitor right at this moment, and maybe force a mistake, although it seems like George is going to be a pretty cool customer. He knows there's a long way to go, and if he can settle in and just keep turning in those laps, then there's a good chance he can keep a hold of that position number 7.
Well, yeah. Did you know that this circuit also hosts the British Superbike Championship? I'm pretty sure you just covered. Yeah, the British Superbike Championship, which there's 3 different types of circuits. So that you've got the Snetterton 100 circuit, which is just after Montreal hairpin. You get that little cut through where it's got Oggies, the corner that is named after the Italian motorcycle racer, which is Agostini, and Hamilton. It goes up to just before Williams where it cuts off, so that's the 100 circuit. as right now we're on board with George Crockett as we see Chafer coming behind. But yeah, the other circuit is the 200, which is just the outside circuit, excluding what I've just said now. The 100 circuit, so yeah, it cuts off Williams and Hamilton and all those bits. And then the 300 circuit is what we're on right now, which is the whole lot of it, which is what we're using right now. But yeah, the circuit opened in 1951 and was, yeah, obviously, as we said, a old RAF base, but it was used by Team Lotus for some of their testing, I believe, as well.
Yeah, definitely, some of these British tracks do have a rather long history of motor racing, especially after being reclaimed from purposes of war to suddenly some friendly peacetime competition. Especially, I knew there were some very tough recovery times throughout the history of Britain after the Second World War, and sure, reusing a lot of these airfields and letting the various communities nearby go out and enjoy some motor racing was brought a lot of joy to a lot of people, as we're now seeing these Schaefer and RDB Pinpoint having a little bit of a tussle heading through Nelson. Mind the giant raised sausage, gentlemen. We don't want to have anyone get launched.
Yeah, this is probably the closest battlefield right now, with our leaders just about.
It's the only thing we want launched from Snetterton is Spitfires.
Oh yeah, geez, yeah, you don't want to eat Spitfires here. Well, no, hold on. But anyways, the fastest lap at the moment seems like it's going to be our our leader of the race, which is going to be Jake Moore, as we're on the 11th lap now, and it looks like Pinner's getting sent, which is like his contact. Chris, what do you think about this one?
I have to think that was a little bit of a cheeky move that went awry way too quickly into the beginning of that corner. I think he decided to overcook it slightly, and it bit him in the rear. Yeah,
it was a little bit of a snake bite, that one, as Penners is just trying to keep ahead of the Porsche, as the car ahead, the BMW, I believe it is a BMW. I had to question myself then, but yeah, the BMW is just making a nice getaway. He wanted to get out of that battle soon as quickly, so the Porsche couldn't eat him alive. But yeah, this battle for I believe it's P9. It's quite a dicey one, and like I've said, was it P9?
Yes, it looks like Turo's managed to get himself position number 9, and I think perhaps he was even held up a little bit by those two cars, just judging by how quickly he was able to pull up on Pinpoint and Bates in that particular circumstance, and especially with that tag earlier, it kind of suggests that perhaps Turo's car is a little bit more hooked up, at least here in the early part of the race, and had a little bit more speed, a little bit more traction coming out of the corner, which caused their first incident. And then with the Audi and the Porsche, I think that's just a case of perhaps being a little bit too optimistic and caused both cars to lose position there to the BMW. But especially when space is at a premium at narrower tracks like Snetterton here, unfortunately, you might have to, in order to make a pass, you might just be in an unfortunate position where you are going to have to make a little bit of contact. So this evening, if we are going to see a few moves, there might be a little bit of a chance that we're going to be seeing some just friendly competitive bump and grind, but hopefully not any serious contacts. Although some rather interesting and contrasting lines between the Audi and the Porsche going through Agostini there just now, as we're now with Augies, as looks like Schiffer's now managed to close up to Crockett here as they're now heading down the Bentley Straight.
Yeah, Chafer looks like he's on the back of this this Audi here, down into Brundle and this little like tight mini chicane here. BMW's going to close up very quick, but it's probably going to lose it a little bit from the exit. One thing I learned from kart racing is you should always catch up to the cart ahead in the braking zones, but on the exit they will always pull away because they'll have to put the power on earlier. But yeah, looks like our leader is doing about a lap a second quicker than our P2, so I'm just having a look now with the pit wall. But yeah, it's quite interesting at the moment as the Audi of George Crockett has just set his personal best, I believe, of 148.4. But yeah, the BMW of Schaefer is getting close behind as they go through Montreal. Chris, we need your opinion. What's going to happen? Is Schaefer going to overtake him?
I'm not so sure. I believe Crockett's going to hold him out. He's going to let him sit there. He's going to let him calm down. And they're just going to make their way on for a couple more laps. But if Nehosion does decide to make a move, I would say it's going to be within perhaps bomb hole area. He seems to be really happy in that late sector.
Yeah. And even through there, see, it goes a little bit wider than expected. But yeah, through Agorista, he seems to get his foot down there and get right close in on the braking zone. So that's a potential overtaking spot as we're going to cut to the helicam. But yeah, so far, it's been a tight battle as we're just coming up to around about maybe 15 laps. Our leader's just crossing the line now, as there's roughly around maybe around a 10-second gap, 11-second gap, as we see Schaefer get on the back. It's going quite tight. As whereabouts is this? I need to learn this. Oh wait, it's term. Well, it's this the Senna straight now. So we can get a little bit of a track guide here. So yeah, Senna straight as they go into Riches, and Montreal in a second. As Schaefer looks for a move, the Audi closes the door on him as they go into Montreal. The Audi's going to go on the inside, and it's going to leave the BMW to do a Sebastian Vettel line, as we're going to call it from now on, going through to Parma and through to Agorista. It's going to be tight. Schaefer's on the back. Is he going to close through the braking zone and make that move as a very big dive in the braking zone, but has to back off so he doesn't bump the back? As we see the BMW in the background as they're going up towards Hamilton and into Oggies. Now, this circuit can be very challenging for some of our drivers, as Schaefer's like, let me through, let me through. He's knocking on the door, as Bentley Straight will be coming up in a second. But yeah, so far it's an interesting battle between these two silver drivers, as Turo is it Turo? Yeah, it is Turo.
They need to be careful with this battle, because that BMW and Yehojan's coming right up and went behind them right now.
Yeah, as they're going through Brundle that bit and through Bombhole, I believe. I'm doing a mini track guide here as they're going through this long...
They're doing the big Coram sweep right now before Murray's and start-finish straight. Interestingly, that brand new Audi's looking just ever so slightly upset right now, and with this just the track being the way it is, the Audi, at least in my driving experience, it really wants to rotate a little bit when getting on the power. So I'm wondering if perhaps they haven't quite got the setup exactly where they want it, especially for a track like this compared to the BMW, where you can get that with the BMW. As soon as you can get that nose pointed, then you can usually get on the power right away, because especially if you have that rear end settled, or you can use the power to kind of kick that back around. Whereas the Audi, it will just generally speaking, seems to want to rotate much more on the power. So drivers maybe not finding it not quite handling Snetterton that well. Maybe some setup gremlins or something like that. But seems like the BMW drivers certainly have the advantage right now. And also, one thing I will say, having recently driven the brand new M4 series, it's just excellent underbrakes for a car with the size that it is. Just the ABS system and the braking performance is just amazing for a car that size.
Well, yeah, right now they're going through to wait, is it Brundle? Yeah, it's Brundle.
Brundle and Nilsson.
Yeah, so basically right now, the BMW, I've noticed that if the setup, especially rounds older, I've done too many laps rounds older in the BMW. But yeah, my setup isn't too great. I mean, it's a little bit oversteery. But you reckon when the tyres might go off, Chris, that it might affect the oversteer a bit more on the Audi? Maybe on the race.
I would, yes. Whenever you're pushing as hard as he is to keep Schaefer behind him, it's definitely going to take a toll on those rear tires. Excuse me. Solely for the fact of that's a rear-heavy vehicle, being a midship engine. So
yeah,
the rear tires on the Audi are always going to wear out first, and if you need to be careful, only due to the fact of him pushing harder is going to wear his tires out quicker, and thus causing him more spots in the end.
Yeah, it's going to lose some people out a lot more, especially if their car's a bit more oversteery. It might lose the rear tires a bit more, but yeah, it should be all right for drivers, as they got to make. Well, there is no mandatory stops, but they have to at least switch over to their other drive. Wait, hold on. Is there a mandatory stop? I'll check that up for you guys now. But yeah, how are we finding this race so far, Celine?
Well, we're at 1 hour 53 minutes remaining and 25 seconds at this point, so it is getting close to that first stint timer expiration. So drivers will probably need to be considering some stops, and given that it's 40 minutes, I'm assuming that a number of these teams will be considering, with the unlimited tire sets, might be considering a tire swap, especially for some of these cars that seem to be struggling with it with grip right now. Although, especially with Schaefer and Nyanin right now, that BMW seems to be settling quite well. I'm almost beginning to wonder if they might be thinking themselves, just do a quick splash and dash refill with fuel, because they're doing quite well and potentially gaining some track positions, where it seems that some of these cars, such as the Audi of Crockett, and I believe even Harvey Bates in the Porsche Downey MP11, maybe we're overcooking some of those rear tires and finding that they're going to need to make a change here coming up soon within the next couple of minutes.
Well, yeah. Right now, it's quite a good battle for P7. Crockett's managed to pull out a bit of a gap for Schaefer to just pull a little bit of a... well, not going as fast, but the BMW of the 72, I mean not the 72, the 77, is coming back to bite Schaefer as they're down the Bentley straight going into Brundle with 1 hour and 51 left to go, which isn't, I mean, there's lots of times to, lots of things to go on with just, well, I'm going to call it under 2 hours. But yeah, it's a lot of things to go on.
Yeah, there's still a lot of time for these drivers to play with right now, but it's pretty obvious, at least from here in the broadcast booth, that we see just a little tag there from Schaefer that the Audi was definitely holding up the BMWs, as Nyanin's now going to take an opportunity to capitalize on that little mistake, and obviously Schaefer showing some good sportsmanship, letting Croc back through to have the position, but Yeah, it would seem that both these BMWs were getting held up at least for the past few minutes by that Audi, and Dionin gets a free pass, but Schaefer's still going to have some work to do.
Well, yeah, it's. I think the stewards will be investigating that one definitely, as we've already added a penalty, not a time penalty, but a 10-point deduction and a strike on the RWB website. Actually, no, sorry, that's my bad. That's for Suzuka. Ignore me, folks. So, anyways, I thought there was going to be some live timing. But yeah, the stewards will be having a look at that one after the race probably, as that resulted in a big loss for both of our drivers. But yeah, Crockett is just making his way down the Bentley Straight into Brundle. It's quite a nice day here, as we're just approaching 1 PM on in-game time. But how do you folks find the race so far?
With everyone spacing out things out as of right now, if we're going to be doing a little bit of holding position, although it looks like Crockett's perhaps overstepped the mark just ever so slightly with Murray's, which having done it myself can be really easy to do, especially when you know you have someone behind who's itching to get by. But that will finally release Schaefer to try and catch up to the 77, as those two seem to be carrying a lot of pace now, as we're riding along with 9th place in car number 15 with RWB Pinpoint, as Harvard Bates is now all over the back of his rear wing, at least at the moment, as they're heading for Palmer.
Well, yeah, it's so far it's going all right for Pinners, but the Porsche is looking for that Audi, and it's looking at the rear bumper as it goes a bit deep through Aguista, allowing for the car behind of Nate Newcomer to get a little bit of a jump onto the Porsche. But yeah, Harvey Bates doing a decent job going through the middle sector now, down the straight in a second. But Chris, do you want to take us through this a little bit?
Absolutely. You got Newcomer coming down. You see him successfully come through with those. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. My computer just froze. I'm so sorry.
I'll take this. My computer sorts itself out. But yeah, coming through Nelson now, Newcomer and the Aston Martin partnered with Josh Butler, I believe. So they've done an early stop, it looks like, because the stint timer is set for 40 minutes. So actually, no, not an early stop, I believe. But as we see Turo coming into the pits now, where will he come out? As we're just going to go on board with Pinners. As he's going down the main straight, the Porsche is looking for a potential spot, looks down with his nose, but has nowhere to go as Pinners closes the little gap. Runs a little bit wide, but into Montreal. Pinners going to go just off the curb and allowing the Porsche to catch up. Chris, you're right now?
I do believe so. Coming into Palmer now, trying to keep that Porsche behind him as they come up into Agostini. I'm so sorry. I'm butchering names today. Taking the inside line, trying to defend, but it seems like that Porsche of Bates is hungry for that position.
Yeah, it's going to be a dicey battle as they're going to be going through Oggies and up to Williams. But the Audi looks like, well, all the Audis throughout this race seem to be doing a decent job of keeping it on the track at least. But we're going to go to our front leaders who might be in approaching a battle, if I believe, or is it just me being stupid? As we can maybe see a car ahead. Nope, that's just me.
It looks like Jake Moore's definitely pulled himself out a pretty big
Gap
lead
of
as
it.
of right now, and
Oh
Jack
yeah, visible.
Alexander has got. If he's going to want to claim that lead, he's going to have a little bit of work to do, at least for the time being, with gap of. And of course, that's exactly when the timing screen decides to refresh itself and pulls the time away from me. But we'll get back to you on that one. As right now, we're seeing actually a number of these cars decide to make their pit
Ooh.
stops. So anyone who was hoping for perhaps to get released for some track position or get the undercut, now is not the time, because I wouldn't be surprised if a few of these drivers are running into a situation where it's either now or never to get that stint timer restarted all low. Looks like 1 out of 3 has decided to actually make the stop and make a change, whereas Pinpoint has decided to jump right back out, do the quick drive through to reset the stint timer and keep it going. So obviously carrying a little bit more fuel and deciding to carry on with that current set of tires, where it looks like a couple have decided to go with the splash and dash, and I don't believe, based on the timing screen, anyone decided to go for a full-on tire change, at least not at this point.
I can't lie, if I was in their seats, I might have done a tyre change. But probably my teammate would have said, "Oi, Ollie, don't do that. You'll probably lose too much time." And we've got to make it to the end. But anyways, we're on board with Chafer now in the BMW as he uses all that curb onto the Bentley straight now, as we're following the 77 into Brundle in a second. He turned in, and now we're going to turn in now, looking for some gaps, as it's quite a fast section, that. So we're going to go on board with him.
He was doing
yeah,
245 kilometers an hour into Brundle. That is by the seat of your pants, slinging it in.
Yeah, that's quite fast. It almost questions, wow, how fast do these cars really go? I only know what they go in mile per hour. They go around 160 on the straight. At least when I'm at Spa, they do at the Kennel Straight, but that's different. As we're going into Riches now, Chafer just ahead, but we're going to go on board with Pinners, who's just ahead of Nate Newcomer. Wait, is it Nate Newcomer? No. Wait, then who's this behind him? Is it the Audi of Jake Moore or Emma? No, Emma Plate's in the Ferrari. And who is it? Is it Xerax?
Could it possibly be a back marker?
It could be Black. No. Huh. I have no idea. Or it could be Mad Al. Yeah, it's Mad Al. Yeah, so Mad Al's had Mad Al's not had a great race so far with Charger, but no, Charger isn't racing, is he not? He's just doing, but yeah, not a good race so far for Mad Al. But yeah, we're on board with him now, as he's trying to make his way through this race. He's looking for major points haul here today at Snetterton, but hopefully he can just make a scathe away and maybe get some points to keep his championship going. But yeah,
I think Matt L, was he one of the ones we owe a shout out to for driving this particular event solo? Because I know we have 1 or 2 absentees, and a few drivers decided, rather than retire the car for the race, decided to hold the load solo. So if that's the case, then definitely big shout out to Matt Al for doing the 2.4 hours completely solo.
yeah, I didn't even realise you do that. Probably, I didn't know. But yeah, anyways, Mad Al, great racers. We're on board with Jack Alexander on the back of Emma Plate, coming through Agarista, I believe, and into Oggies in a second, as they're making their way through now onto all those curbs. It's going to be a tight one for him, but they're going to just escape away. But use all that green runoff. Odds to Bentley straight. Chris, what do you think so far? How's this one going to plan out?
judging by what we've seen so far from Alexander here, and exactly how he was tackling Agosti through Williams, he seems to be a little bit better on the brakes. He seems to have speed, though, at his side. He's not lacking in any department. It just seems that he's a little bit better when it comes to braking.
Yeah. I mean, the cars are a bit better at braking, well, this one in particular, as they're onto the main straight, the centre straight. Now, it looks like Alexander's not going to go for a move yet, but into Rich's. Now they come. Tight move for Alexander on the curb now, and using some of that curb, having a little bit of a look down the inside, but definitely not a chance as he goes a little bit deep, but still recovers it onto that exit curb, and now and through to Palmer. So, well, do you guys know by any chance, if you've raced around here, where the overtaking spots are?
So realistically, around Snetterton, most of your overtaking spots are going to be some of the heavier braking zones. So if you can get something set up in Montreal, I have seen the occasional move done at Rich's, as we saw obviously early with Jake Moore on lap 1, although that one is a little bit sketchier because it is narrow and more high speed. If you have to run off the Bentley straight, it is possible to get inside somebody at Brundle, but it's going to go from inside to outside, so that one can be a little bit difficult. One of the other decent possibilities is obviously Agostini, because it is the hairpin, as looks like Alexander has managed to make that move, as just as I was saying with obviously, by the looks of it, the brave move Brundle through Nelson, which speak of the devil, and they shall appear. So we got the brave move from Brundle through to Nelson, and Alexander has made that one stick. Now, one other thing I will mention, that somebody who has a good run through Coram could potentially go for a maneuver at Murray's Hollow. That one is going to be very difficult to pull off, because it's very easy to defend it just by letting your car run a little bit wide so that they can't get that inside position. But as of right now, the Porsche with that narrow wheelbase and that added traction with the engine block over the rear wheels seems to really have the ascendancy, at least for Alexander right now. But certainly the most interesting thing with Assetto Corsa Competizione was we're going to see here in the simulator a few combinations that we might not normally see. For example, there haven't been any Ferrari 488 Evo cars in the British GT series, at least in our real life series. However, in the sim, it is not uncommon at all to see the Ferrari racing around the British GT tracks. So a car with that much aerodynamic prowess and that much pull as the Ferrari Evo does, especially in that first engine map, we're seeing a few battles that we wouldn't normally see outside of the sim, with obviously the Ferrari Evo, the Audi Evo 2 with Balf Racing is going to be a thing. So look for that to happen later in this British GT season. But yeah, we're certainly seeing some interesting battles that we might not necessarily see, and also I wonder if when we actually get to Snetterton, if we're going to see the BMWs have the pace that they are showing right now here today.
Newcomer went ahead and let Pinpoint no.
I think that looked like Matt Al was letting some with him being a lap down, he was just letting the faster cars go through. And at this point, Nate being all over the back of the Audi right now, as now it's going to be a pure drag race down the center straight, as Audi seemed to overcook a little bit, and a little bit of a squeeze, although teammates, I don't think anyone's going to want to give. A little bit of bragging rights here on the line, as looks like Nate's
Oh.
run a little bit wide, but Pinpoint
No.
gets hops up a little bit onto that bumpy part of the curb and just decides to fling that Audi off the track. Right, and now in the number 29 Porsche in 12th place, it would seem that they've decided to go with their driver swap now, as Hayden Sweet is in the car, and the timing screen shows him a lap down, although I don't believe that's necessarily quite accurate, as things still have yet to filter through, but currently has 304 of Ryan Warrington all over the back of him, so a little bit of a turnabout for the 304 cars, now making the pass through on Rich's, heading towards Montreal Hairpin. So some teams deciding to go with the driver change earlier, and it would seem that at least for now, the 304 Audis managed to regain a lot of that pace that it didn't seem to quite have early on, but that Porsche that seemed to be getting all of the traction, all the grip out of those corners in the first stint, now seems to be having a little bit of a struggle. And now we're running along with looks like Jacker in the 193, as they're having a dice with the number 85 Audi at the, the number 15 Audi. I can't read. They're now headed through Riches themselves, and this is pretty much an even battle here. Both cars running the similar engine, although the Audi's got a newer aerodynamic package, but that doesn't seem to serve him right now if he's not good under the brakes, as Marvin takes that position by perhaps forcing a little bit of a mistake from RWB point in the number 15 car. By the looks of it, even though it seems like some of the cars are spaced out, we still have a few packs milling about and still managing to get some decent battles here, with about 1 hour 33 minutes left to go. All right, now following along with Imo Platt in the number 76 Ferrari. Holding up in third position right now, probably just biding time a little bit as we speak. That the Ferrari obviously had an excellent showing as Suzuka, although it seemed to be falling a little bit behind the number 1 Porsche, at least earlier, perhaps maybe deciding not to take tires and just do the quick drive through to reset the stint timer, whereas we now have Alexander pulling a little bit of a gap, but still sitting on the fastest lap. Jake Moore well out in the lead by close to 12 seconds, and early P2 position, Xerax has seemed to fall back a little bit, now down in 4th position, when one of the Lamborghinis of Adam Sharp is in 5th position, Turo Nanan in 6th position, Martin Schaefer 7th position, Nate Newcomer all the way up to 8th after probably not having the best start with the lone Aston Martin, making his way up the order and gaining a lot of track position. Martin Chacker in 9th position, and rounding out the top 10, we have the number 15 Audi RWB Pinpoint, managing to keep that car going around after, unfortunately, just a few minor tags and some offs. But we then have Nick Smith or Flack in 11th position, Ryan Warrington in P12, Hayden Sweet in lucky 13, Andrew Fairley in 14th. That number 46 McLaren seemed to have a rough start, and unfortunately still hasn't quite recovered it yet. And then, unfortunately, holding the wooden spoon, we have Mad Al in 15th position, doing all the heavy lifting solo this evening. Right, so we are now at the 90 minutes to go mark. Gentlemen, how are we hanging in there?
I'm doing quite well. How about you?
I'm just making it. Just making it is the statement here. Say it's Snetterton, but yeah, it's going alright. I'm just sitting here chilling. Really, but yeah, it's going alright so far with 1 hour and a half left of this race. So an hour done. Well, roughly in about an hour. But yeah, it's going smooth. As we see, our leaders just come past the Delta zone as yeah, just come up to the final bit of the lap now as Alexander, I believe, comes through a bomb hole into I can't remember what it's called, but I know it begins with a C. Curvan is, or something along those lines, as they go into Murray. But yeah, it's going all right. What's happening on the tracks, folks? Anything else that you guys found?
Well, personally, as of right now, it seems like everyone's kind of at least found their gap for the most part, other than we have two cars fairly close together in Montreal at the moment. Although there is a little bit of space as they hit the traction zone. But early doors, we had a couple of interesting scraps. We had some miniature battles. Jake Moore obviously making the brave move, lap one, turn one, and trying to pull off, is obviously trying to pull out a very early lead, as we're now riding on board with Nate. Newcomer in our virtual Beach Dean AMR entry, the Lone Aston. Must say though, speaking of all the interesting makes, we have Emma Platt in the one Ferrari, but for the British GT tracks, I'm honestly surprised. Although when we think about the other rounds of the championship coming up with Monza, Kilami, Olton, and Spa, you think with with those especially two British tracks, well, technically three because they go to Spa as well. I'm honestly surprised we don't have a Bentley in this series. I am genuinely shocked considering how strong that car is, not only at the British tracks but also. It does surprisingly well at Monza and Kilami. Not the strongest, mind you, but still fairly strong cars.
It's all about that torque that the Bentley provides.
Yeah, the Bentley's like a big power unit. Probably could power the whole of Leeds or something. I don't know. But anyways, we are going to go on board with Nate Newcomer, who's just about 2 seconds ahead of the Lamborghini of Marvin, but yeah, it's all right at the moment so far. But oh, we're on board with Flack now as he's going through the Nelson, I believe. Is it Nelson? Or is it
he is actually just heading into Williams at the moment. But
that's what I thought, something along those lines. You always know where this bit is. But anyways, yeah, down the Bentley Straight now. Nothing really going on, but I'm making it seem like something going on. But yeah, let's go up to Marvin, as it looks like he might have closed a little bit on Nate Newcomer now. We're going to go on board with the TV cameras. As you can see, that Aston Martin in the background up ahead when it pans to that camera. But yeah,
Yep, the Lamborghini slowly closing up on the Aston Martin, and interestingly enough, the past couple of seasons, the Lamborghini has done really well in British GTs with Barwell Motorsports. So, not a surprise to see at least at least a couple of Lamborghinis, not only in the series but doing well on the British GT tracks. You know, with package like the Lamborghini, people normally think about it as, you know, these very low, very sleek, you know, supercars, and, you know, aerodynamic based, and you'd think, well, all those British GT tracks are just going to be bumpy and abusive and everything, but the Lamborghini, oddly enough, it does really well at a lot of the British tracks, and surprisingly enough, Barwell has been doing amazing in the real-world British GT series, so not a surprise at all to see Lamborghini being surprisingly strong at Snetterton here this evening.
Yeah, but anyways, want to be on board with Marvin, as it's going to be an interesting fight. He's on the back of a newcomer, who I would like to say thanks to, as newcomer set up our stream tonight, as he runs a little bit wide onto the main straight. But also, I would like to, Chris, can you just check the team chat as well? But yeah, also Marvin looking for a potential move down into turn 1, but allows newcomer to go by and takes the normal racing line. Newcomer takes all that curb, then into Montreal, really closes the gap, and he's going to go for the move, hits all that inside curb, no carnage, and Newcomer's left on the outside and is forced to a bit more of a Sebastian Vettel line. Yeah.
It's rather generous by Nate there. He could have easily closed the door but potentially had a little bit of a collision there with Jacker trying to, or sending one a little bit up the inside, but obviously still 1 hour, 24 minutes to go. Nate's probably thinking, I probably don't want to carry a car with a lot of damage, and with that Lamborghini having the pace right now, Nate deciding he's probably discretion being the better part of valor, and try and hold on to the positions he can, and letting the faster car go, and playing it a little more strategically here with 1 hour, 23 minutes, 35 seconds left to go.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a tight race. The Lamborghini's quite well, he's really pulled away so far, as there's not much battles elsewhere on the track so far. Our leader's about 11 seconds from each other, as it's Jake Moore and Jack Alexander having a little bit of a tussle, but Emo Plate might be close in the back. I'll check up on that for you folks in a second. But yeah, there's not really anybody near Emo Plate, and he's just making his way. Can't tell. Where is he making his way? Oh, Oggies and Williams, isn't it?
Yep, he just went through Oggies and he's approaching Williams now.
But yeah, he's just making his way out of that. It's quite smooth at the moment, quite calm. But later on in the race, yeah, it might spicy up for him. But yeah, Chris, what do you think of this race so far, and what's going to happen soon, you reckon?
I see we've got just under an hour and a half left, but I've also started to notice a lot of rubber buildup along outside of these corners, and you're going to think sometimes there's going to be some slip ups. There's going to be a little bit of understeer right when you don't expect it. You're going to get out in those the rough out there, and you're going to be off track. So coming into these later stages, it's more of tire management and also keeping patience, making sure your nerves aren't getting up there. Keep your adrenaline low, bring it home safe.
Well, yeah. But anyways, I'm just checking the YouTube chat, and from Gearhead, it looks like he's just said that it looks like Marvin Chaker has just pulled a Verstappen, which, fair enough, he has pretty much, to be honest. But yeah, our Marvin here is making a smooth little getaway, being a smooth little criminal like the Michael Jackson song. But yeah, making his way through the pack, as he's in 8th now. So we're going to cut away to Adam Sharp, who's in the other uh, Lamborghini.
The Lamborghinis are really giving a quite a good showing out here, both within the top 10, both sitting comfortable. Doesn't seem to be in any sort of distress, no battles going on. They're living life.
Yeah, they're having a nice little like getaway. Better than all the McLarens. The McLarens aren't doing well today. Well, the McLaren, it's not going well for him. I think Daniel Barnett was supposed to be the other one, but sadly he's had to back out of today's race. But anyways, it looks like there could be a potential battle between.
I was going to say that it doesn't seem like everything's quite copacetic for Adam Sharp, at least with Ronan slowly reeling him in. Although that Beamer has looked rather pacey, even though Sharp has managed to hold on to that position for quite a while now. I think I wouldn't be surprised if in the next lap or two we are going to see a little bit of dicing between the BMW and the Lamborghini for that 5th position. Because looking from the back of Adam Sharp's Lamborghini here, we're just slowly seeing Turo pull up in that Red Bull liveried BMW, and take a look at the gap here. Probably looks like they're catching by in and around the neighborhood of 6/10 per lap, give or take. So that gap is definitely coming down, and Turo has very much been on the move.
He does seem to be a little bit anxious, trying to get that position away from Sharp. You got to kind of wonder, is he slowly going to start making his move to bring the charge all the way up to front? He's going to try to make his way up to Plate and Alexander, or is he just going to slowly meander his way up, being picky and choosy, making his smart moves? Who time will tell.
Yeah, the things have really been falling into place for Turo this evening. While other people were getting caught up in incidents, he's just managed to be using his pace on now pretty much all over the back of that Lamborghini now as they go through Brundle and Nelson headed towards Bombhole. Turo going to take a little peek on the one on the side of that Lamborghini as the Lamborghini throws up a little bit of dust, having not the most ideal exit as they're rounding the big Coram sweep into Murray's. Oh, and a little bit of a tap, although both cars have quickly settled themselves, so perhaps just a little bit of a braking zone bump, but no major damage by the signs of it, and they're right back to the battle.
Seems as if Sharp didn't get rattled by that slight tap on the rear. He seems to be carrying on just nicely. Doesn't seem to be any issues with the vehicle. Neither from Nihonen or him from his vehicle either. He seems to be turning in quite well.
Yeah,
I'd say
doesn't look like any damage has been done to either of these cars, and with it being a braking zone and both cars back to it as quickly as they were, I don't imagine that's going to be affecting either car too terribly much, at least for the time being, unless they were carrying damage from previous incidents that we may or may not have caught. But as they're rounding through Augie's and Williams right now, Turo is certainly catching Adam right back up again, and we'll see if perhaps this time round Noonan can make the move stick, or if Sharp is going to be able to mount it or keep that defense thoroughly mounted and keep that BMW at bay, at least for the time being. But they do need to be careful, because as Noonan reels in Sharp, he's going to soon come under attack from Schaefer, at least if things stay as they are standing right now, because both of those BMWs are very much on the charge, making up track position just on natural pace rather than doing leapfrogging in the pits. As we saw the row racing Porsche there in the foreground just before the camera rotated its view. It looks like we might start seeing some lap traffic come into play here, as it was Newlands just completely overcooked it through the Montreal hairpin and onto the grass.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe he actually tried to push that outer edge a little bit too far and dip the wheel into the grass, thus causing him that little bit of a trip down yonder.
Yeah, unfortunately, as soon as you put a wheel onto the grass, if you're holding on the brakes and you start sliding, that's just going to carry that momentum. And obviously, with that wheel skidding, it's going to cause the ABS system to activate. Obviously, driver aids permitted in GT3 cars, so one wheel is just not going to be providing any sort of braking power, and the other one is just going to immediately, the electronics will kick in. So it's not quite as bad as if you were doing it with an open wheel formula car, but the knock-on effect either way is you're just going to go straight on. So, but decently well held from Turo to keep it off on the far wall and getting back on track and trying to chase down Sharp and Schaefer again for that 5th position.
Well, yeah, it's going smoothly for Schaefer now. He's done a quite good job so far. But what's it, Celine? I'm gonna have to call you the professor because you seem to know everything about motorsport racing at the moment. But yeah, Schaefer made his way down the Senate.
Nickname, I'll take it.
Yeah, the professor, or we need to invent something different. The scientist. Maybe we'll give you the scientist. But yeah, I mean, depends what you want. But anyways, Schaefer making his way into Montreal. You can see the Lamborghini ahead, but he's gonna try and just catch up and make every little corner count, even if it's 1,000th. It's every little helps, as that's the Audi slogan. Not the Audi car, I mean the Aldi shop, for you British people understand. But yeah, making his way through Agurista with the other BMW, his BMW teammate on the back of him. But yeah, there's not too many battles going on. I'm looking at the timings. It doesn't look like too much. Maybe for there might be a little battle for maybe not P15 actually. No, it's me thinking. But no, never mind.
Yeah, it looks like everyone still has a little bit of space to work out, at least for the moment, as any of our viewers are looking at the track map right now. The cars are circulating, and they do have a little bit of space or some breathing room right now, so the chance to have some clean air, put in a few laps, and really test to see what kind of pace your car is on right now, as we're now following along with Emma Plate with the 76 car, our lone Ferrari that took the win in round 1 at Suzuka. So yeah, surprisingly, at least for this time of the year, not a very British looking day here on the server, with nice bright, mostly clear skies around Snetterton here on the server at 1:16 p.m. server time. Obviously running the race in the middle of the day, otherwise we'd be under the lights right now. But yes, oddly enough, in Japan, where we would expect some very hot temperatures, we had our very heavily rain-affected race, and here in Britain, where you'd think, well, there's going to be gray skies and it's going to be raining, and it's going to be the giant spanner in the works. Everyone's had a nice, clean, clear track, and the racing has been, although it has been very good, the battles have been a little bit smaller, more focused, but it's also given a lot of these cars the opportunity to really showcase their pace right now. And so just a really quick update, still holding fast lap. We have Jake Moore, who is in the lead, and running up the top 3, we have Jack Alexander, P2, Emma Blake in P3. Xerox Eider in P4. Adam Sharp in P5, still holding on to that position as Martin Schaefer has, because of that off that Turunen had earlier. Schaefer in 6th position, Turo 7th position. Marvin Jacker is in 8th position in the 2nd Lamborghini. Ryan Warrington, P9, rounding out the top 10. Josh Butler, who's just swapped into that Aston Martin by the looks of it, in P10, as we're actually now seeing Turunen pulling into the pit. It looks like it's time for some of these cars to start going through their driver swaps. So, yes, we had Josh Butler in P10 in 11th position, Hayden Sweet in the number 29 Porsche. 12th position, RWB Audi, oddly enough, in the Audi. Big surprise there. Andrew Fairley in 13th position in the lone McLaren, and Pinpoint is in 14th position, although I have a sneaky suspicion that that car is about to change hands very soon. And down in the 15th position, and then we have Mad Al.
Mad Al put in a very valiant effort today. Nothing but applause to him.
Yeah, although it looks like perhaps maybe a little bit of holding up that Josh Butler has to do, looks like, as they're going through Brundle and Nelson, because I believe that is the 89 Audi in 4th position, putting the 97 Aston Martin a lap down. So obviously very kind of Josh to take heed of the blue flags as early as he did and let the faster car through, although that might make things a little difficult for him, as that much of a slowdown could bring Sweet and the Porsche back into the mix. So yeah, the gap doesn't seem to be quite as far as I thought it would be, although actually I think that might not be the car I thought it was. That appears to be Schaefer up in what is now P4, so so yes, pardon the commentary error. It would seem that Butler has a little bit more space than we thought, and is a little bit further up the road, so that was actually just a case of lap traffic there. But it's interesting enough, a lot of these close proximity cars on the mini map now, I think, might actually be a case of leaders passing back markers. Is we now have in Simcox in the 25 Lamborghini pulling out in 7th position. That driver swap has occurred, and that will hopefully, I would assume that means fresh set of tires for Ian. And although they're not going to be fresh for very long, trekking through the marbles like that, as that's exactly what the number 77 BMW is going to want to see, with somebody coming out of the pits and on cold tires, whereas when you've got the warm tires, somebody runs a little bit wide, you're immediately spilling the blood in the water like Shark Week. So, yes, with 1 hour 7 minutes to go, I am going to be taking a quick commentary break, so I will pass it over to Ollie and Chris for a few moments. But as we're approaching the 1 hour mark, to all the viewers on YouTube joining us, thank you very much for tuning into this second round of RST Competizione Season 3.
Well, folks, so far it's been an interesting race, as we're seeing Ian Simcox making his way coming out of Nelson and through to Bombhole with that BMW right on his bum, right on his bumper. And what do you think so far, Chris? Do you reckon our 77 BMW will make his way past?
I've seen that he's a little bit unsteady whenever he's trying to creep up on him mid-corner. It seems as if he's trying to push the BMW a little bit too hard, trying to make up that position. Although it looks like he does have the speed coming down into here, into Riches, going up into Montreal here. He looks to the inside, finds no purchase.
But yeah, it's a good exit for the BMW and a good exit for the Lamborghini. So these two both got a good exit. So yeah, coming through Parma now and into Accuweather, the corner named after the Italian motorcycle racer. But yeah, the heavy braking zone not providing any opportunities so far, as they're going to come out of it now. The Lamborghini's just edging away, but there's still the BMW's on his tail, as we'll see a position change for Ryan Warrington and Josh Butler, as Ryan is in the pits. But yeah, Ian Simcox in the Lamborghini trying to make his way out. The BMW gets a good exit as the Lamborghini goes a little bit wider. This is a potential move down into Brundle. The Lamborghini takes the inside line. BMW is going to take the more inside line. And as they go, it's going to work out. But is he going to go wide? No, he isn't. He's going to keep the move. Chris, can you lead us on for this?
Absolutely. They're coming into bomb hole now. The Lamborghini on the inside. BMW, just loses it.
Some absolutely fantastic side-by-side action. The Lamborghini's gone around.
Yeah, and it looks like the car of Turo looks like he's going to get out of that just better off than Ian Simcox, which I reckon the stewards will have a look at that one. Well, definitely, as we're going on to the 43rd lap for the 77.
Yeah, we're going to have to see if the stewards decide if there's a little, perhaps a little bit of fault to be had there, or if it was just, well, side-by-side narrow track, and unfortunately that's a little bit of racing. Somebody always ends up eventually with the short end of the straw, and unfortunately that was the the Lamborghini of Ian Simcox in that particular circumstance. But quite the interesting little battle, and going side by side from basically the entry of Brundle all the way through into halfway through the sweep of Coram. That's actually surprisingly long side by side battle for a track like Snetterton. So well done to both of them, even though I know Ian's going to be kicking himself and possibly uttering some choice words we can't mention on stream under his own breath right now, as he's going to be trying to recover.
Schaefer seems to be heavily intent on taking this position away from Jaker here. Looking to the inside, coming into Brundle. Finds no purchase. Settles back in behind him, coming into bomb hole. Maybe he'll see if we can come make a sneaky move. Doesn't quite make it.
Yeah, it looks like Schaefer went a little bit wider than he wanted to. Probably to do with the air effect and stuff. But coming out of Murray's and onto the centre straight is going to be his lucky day for Schaefer. Going down to Riches, but a bit too far back for a lunge, maybe. And he just closed up on the Lamborghini. But will it be a move into Montreal? Closes up. Is the taking there? Schaefer's quite a smart driver, so he knows when to go for the move and when to not, and if it will affect his exit and etc. But anyways, he's coming around Palmer on the back of the Lamborghini. Lamborghini's having a little bit of a melt here, as he's thinking of what to do and how to play his cards. Will he keep them upright, or will he play them on the table? As right on the back now. And it's not looking too well for the Lamborghini. But Chris, we need some more, I don't know, we need some more commentating power.
Understood. Coming in here, coming out of Augie's, going into Williams. Looking into Schaefer, still looking for inside line. Always hungry for that position. Coming down here on Bentley Straight. Schaefer looks to the inside. Maybe sees something, anything. Oh, making a move to the outside, coming into Brundle. That's a very brave move coming through here. Easy, gentlemen.
then there's contact between Schaefer and the Lamborghini, which allows the other BMW of Turo, the 77, allowing him to catch back up in the Red Bull mobile, and this machine of the Soul Race team car of the 12 is a little bit damaged, but hopefully they can make out of this one very all right, I guess. But onto the centre straight now. Schaefer is getting hunted by another BMW. So both of these BMWs in the in 6th and 7th, and it's going quite tight for them as they come through Riches and going down into Montreal. Can we get a helicam? Yes, we can. And we can just see a pile of cars here now, as it's a collection and potentially a car park. But yeah, what are we doing now, Celine? What do you think will happen? As we have an hour.
At this point, with we're now underneath the hour mark, we're going to see the obviously the second drivers start taking over, and depending on how they've decided to work the strategy. But from what I gather, I can't remember if Noonan started the race or his teammate did, so they're probably running close to the time limit, unless Turo's the other driver we were hearing running the efforts solo this evening. But a really good showing from both of these BMWs, as I was saying earlier in the stream. The surprising level of braking performance for a car that big. I don't know if obviously I haven't had the privilege of driving the car in real life, but surprisingly steady package, excellent braking performance. Can get a little spicy again on the power with just those high-strung turbocharged BMW engines, but doing surprisingly well. Both Turo and Schaefer again pulling right back up on that Lamborghini, and managing to really make some interesting headway. And as I was saying, compared to a lot of the other cars that seem to be working strategy, track position with the pit stops and whatnot, or in the case of Jake Edwards, just trying to pound out as many laps as he can to as he's turned over to Mieran Edwards, as we can see on the timing screen, just really give his co-driver in Mieran as much working room as they can, whereas Martin and Turo just using sheer pace of that BMW to really make that happen. Although it looks like Jacker's gone a little bit wide in that 193 and has let Schaefer go. Camera is unfortunately still following Schaefer, so I'm not sure if Turo's quite got the run on him, although they are pretty close now. So I imagine even though the pass hasn't been, or a move hasn't been made, they're going to be all over the back of that Lamborghini as well. So again, BMW is just showing surprising amount of on-track pace just to make up ground and making overtakes where a lot of the other cars I think are really struggling, whereas having to hope that the advantage of their particular car comes into play, especially in the case of I think we saw some Porsches with their traction really coming into play. But otherwise, most of the other cars, they're just again doing old school Formula One, in that try and do leapfrogs in the pits or through strategy, whereas again these two just showing really good on track pace and a little bit of racecraft to make passes where you wouldn't think they might necessarily be pulled off.
Oh yeah, it's not many passes being talked around to Snetterton. It's quite a tight circuit, as we've definitely agreed on. But yeah, it's so far going smooth for our leaders in the RST car. Yeah, it's going alright as they're going through Bomb Hole, I believe, and down through Slim will know, the scientist will know, I'm not
For him right now.
Yeah.
Current,
Into Murray's.
okay. See, the scientists can always back me up. But yeah, down the main straight now you go. Now she goes. They've got this, to be honest, in the bag, and they've got. Have they actually? It might be a.
Just
yeah,
looking at the timing screen, although it might be just due to an outlap, the 88 did a 153.9, so I'm going to chalk that up to possibly outlap, and as a result with the driver swap and sorry, I don't want to risk butchering that Marzewski, but we'll just say Dominic or Dom for this one, doing a 149.555. So I would guess that maybe there was a little bit of some loss of pace for outlap or possibly an off, but it seems like Turo's managing to throw one up the inside of Rich's on Marvin Checker as we're going to into the Montreal hairpin, and it seems that Neonen's just going to have the ascendancy. That pace of that BMW just would, after all that time, would not be denied, and they have gone through position swap and now up into P6. Those BMWs are just slowly working their way up.
Yeah, for the race lead now. The Audi's getting pressured by the Porsche. And it looks like either their tyre's dead or something's going wrong. Well, probably not, but yeah, something's happened. The pace has really dropped. Maybe we've had a change of tyres, maybe that the Porsche hasn't, or something similar along those lines. But where's Madley as he's just a little bit further
so
back?
yes, it seems that Madley trying to catch back up with the leaders, but
the Audi, the back marker really caught the Porsche and was straight. You definitely saw that, didn't you?
Yeah, I think maybe Marin hasn't quite come to terms with the car here in her first few laps, and that's brought the Porsche very much back into contention, and as well back markers playing a role as the leading cars now are going through Palmer and heading down towards Agostini. Although Marin trying to make a little bit of a fight back as touches the inside curb there. Again, be aware those are some sharp inside curbs, so you do have to be careful how much of those you take, because it can easily damage a tire, and as you saw, it can make cars like the Audi that aren't necessarily the most comfortable over curbs actually jump a little bit, and for that briefest of moments you have virtually no control over that car when both the wheels are in the air, especially the front ones. But
yeah, it's yeah, the curves around here are a bit rough. But Chris, what do you think so far about this circuit? Do you like it, or do you think it's a bit of a naff one?
I like it quite a lot. It has its technical spots, but it also has its nice little reprieves of Senna straight and also Bentley straight, where you can take a breather, regather your thoughts, get ready for the next firing off into Brundle and to Nelson, going out into Bomb Hole. That's quite a tricky area to get down pat every single time. Nail your mark. It's honestly a handful.
Well, yeah, the track's very different to Nürburgring and stuff. It's very different to maybe Zolder and stuff. Where Zolder may be tight, but it's like mini chicanes there. There's 3 mini chicanes. But this is more of like it's like a stopping, like a track where it stops and goes, but it still flows. I'm definitely gonna use that phrase again, definitely in some different times, because that was smooth. But anyways, we're on board with Martin Schaefer as he's coming around Montreal now, as we're on lap 50 now, and the lead has changed as we've seen. So it hasn't worked out too well for our leaders, for our previous leaders, but things happen and the lead has changed as the gap's already coming up to 4 seconds, but I might have just decreased if I'm... Nope, it hasn't. But anyways, looks like Ian Simcox might be in a battle, or maybe Marvin. Nope. But do you folks, while we haven't got much battles going on right now, do you folks fancy playing a mini game while we're on the stream?
Mini game, you say?
Yeah, a mini game like this one that I did in the 12-hour of guess my car. So basically, what's going to happen is I'll give you a clue, maybe 2, and you've got to guess what it is.
Interesting. I am intrigued.
All right, so Chris.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but Tweet having a little bit of problems going through Nelson, a bit of an overcook there, allowing. Let's see here. Who is that behind him?
Of Millward to get a decent run, but it's lapped Carsey and stuff. But yeah, and we're gonna go to Marvin. It keeps saying that he's in a battle, but he isn't anywhere near somebody, I believe. Actually, no, he's...
Yeah, he's just gone through Riches and headed towards Montreal. There's a decent-sized gap, although there's a couple of cars just ahead heading down towards both Palmer and on the other side, Augie's. They're now gone, or now headed down the Bentley Straight. So there's cars in somewhat of a proximity, but as the things stand right now, the gaps aren't quite close enough that that you're going to be necessarily seeing a very big change, or the auto director is not necessarily going to pick up on them being in within that 1 second gap. So yeah, it's the gaps are closing, but they're not quite at that distance where all of a sudden it's going to perk the auto director's head up and say, oh, these two are definitely in a battle.
Yeah, but anyways, do you fancy playing a game, or should we go back to some maybe more things?
Although, well, but I would say by the looks of it, the action's not gonna let us digress. I'm assuming with Hayden Sweet, he's just trying to turn in the final 47 minutes. Although I think at this point, Millward is probably looking at this and saying, "Well, I kind of wouldn't mind having some positions back. So if not getting that lap back, at very least playing a little bit of follow the leader and having a little bit of toe all out with Mad Al being in the pits, and that position has changed. So that is definitely a battle for position now, as that has ticked over. So yeah, that's going to be a battle for position here coming up very soon, as we're seeing the 2 Lamborghinis that were doing fairly well earlier. At least one of them inside the top 5 now, with Ian Simcox and Marvin Jacker. We're seeing them running in 7th and 8th respectively now, as they're still managing to hold that top 10 position, although I think RWB Audi in the ninth position in the 276 Audi is slowly reeling them in, and just if I might say, a call out to that particular car, because just that and if leaders had a contact with a back marker through what is that looks like through Riches, perhaps a little bit of miscommunication there with the lap traffic, or maybe leader getting a little bit impatient there, trying to open up a lead, because as we're seeing now with Justin Madley in the 76 Ferrari as the 89 being all over them, although they are side by side now heading down towards Palmer. Audi managing to take the wide line and still holding it, so that position has changed hands, and we're going to see the 89 now trying to chase down teammate in the 89 car with Marin Edwards, who by the looks of it has finally got a handle on that 88 car, although still showing about a second behind the pace of the rest of the leaders at this point in time. So it doesn't look like the action's going to let us make any digressions at this point. Although, yeah, with that the leader tripping over the back marker, I wouldn't be surprised if that's another one that has to go before the stewards. Was back marker perhaps running a little bit too much interference, or was that the leader getting a little bit impatient and tripping over the back marker? In which case. For those watching who may not necessarily know, in Formula One, yes, wave blue flag means you got to facilitate letting the car go by, but in GT racing, the faster car needs to facilitate that overtake. So the car being blue flagged has one lap to try and kind of get itself sorted out, and either the faster car is going to have to figure out a way around. Otherwise, then then perhaps race control is going to be having a look at it if that back marker is perhaps holding up the faster car. But realistically speaking, that blue flag car is entitled to the racing line in GT racing. So a little bit of a difference there. But the positions 3 and 4, yeah, it looks like Madley is just slowly falling off the back of that Audi as teammate reeling in another, as the 89 is just pulling in that gap down to just over 2 seconds now between second and third place. So perhaps a last 40 plus minutes here, we're going to see a little bit of potentially a teammate squabble, and that Ferrari that won the first round is perhaps going to try and make even if it's not 2 wins in a row, 2 podiums in the first 2 races for sure.
Well, yeah, it's look like, yeah, it does look like the RST is going to just dominate this round. Well, not dominate, because the Porsche's in the podium, well, top step of the podium, but they're going to dominate the podium. The Audis are. So that looks cool. So how is everybody finding the race so far? Is it going smooth for everybody, or is it a bit of a bumpy ride? Yeah.
Well, I'd say it's going smoothly for us, but Madley sure did have a little bit of a episode coming out of Bomb Hole just a moment ago. Took it a little bit too wide, a little bit of a dirt route for about 3 seconds.
Well, yeah, actually, as we're on board with Marin Edwards, she's getting attacked by Xerax in the other Audi, and just making her way just there is Xerax. We're going to go on board with Xerax now, as he's coming into Accuweather. As the Audi runs a bit wide and is looking for the cutback, which allows the teammates, the sister car, to really ramp up the pace, looking for opportunity. But he needs to do this fast, does Xerax, because the Ferrari of Justin Madley is really on the back as they're going through the 2 Williams. The teammate car is on the bumper, wing to wing, as they're going to go down the main straight, the back straight, into Brundle corner, as it's very tight now, and just making way. You see the Ferrari in the background, potentially looking for a fight. Good job they switched the cars round quick enough.
Yep,
Otherwise, it
no team
really
orders
hurt the
going on there
strategy.
with the 89 overtaking the 88 without too much drama. But personally, now that's has very much left the 88 vulnerable to just madly in that 76 Ferrari, who certainly still has a lot of pace. And who knows, maybe they are looking for that second win. I wouldn't, with 40 minutes left to go, I wouldn't put it past that Ferrari to pull one out of the bag here, especially with this excellent run that that Ferrari is going to have down towards riches. And I know Marin Edwards is pretty good at making that car nice and wide, really good at defending, but I think at this point it's only a matter of time before that Ferrari is going to find a way around.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for Ferrari, like you said, but it's going to be there for the taking as they're going into Accuweather now. The corner that will decide the fate for the Audi, but lets the second Audi to live. But yeah, now they're coming through Oggies, and the Ferrari's going to go a little bit wide. Runs onto the gravel. Is that a gravel trap, or is it a like a little bit of a rumble strip?
That would be the exit rumble strip. There are still a few, there are a number of those around Snetterton, and for those familiar with Alton Park, there's a few of those as well. It's the latticework style runoff kind of asphalt concrete mix that is fairly common. You see it around a lot of British tracks and some of the older tracks around Europe. And if you see some of the older spots around the Nürburgring, there's that too.
Anyways,
And the 88
Contact between Bradley and Edwards.
It looks like they've at the center part of Coram they've come together. Although I don't know if that was necessarily contact from a dive, as they seem to be very much side by side, so I'm not sure what exactly happened there. Again, that's probably one of those ones that's going to have to be looked at by the stewards at some point. But yeah, a number of these drivers are going through that long Coram sweep side by side, and unfortunately, just two cars into there won't go. Eventually, one is either going to be on the marbles and break traction and go around, or if one car leaning on another a little bit too much, and that's just going to send one of them around now. As with that off, the 88 Audi is unfortunately just now come under attack by the 193 Lamborghini. Marvin Checker is going to be all over the back of Edwards. But speaking of the pace of those BMWs now, P4 and P5, those Beamers are slowly working their way up in the order as well, and not just the 89 Audi and the 76 Ferrari trying to chase down that Porsche currently in the lead, but that gap from P1 to P2 is now down to 10 seconds, so that one is slowly coming down as well with 37 minutes left to go.
What's it? I'm going to take roughly around, I don't know, an 8 to 10 minute commentary break. I'll put the cameras in auto if that helps. But yeah, right, I'll catch you guys in a sec.
Right, so we're now running on the rear wing of our current leader, Dominic Mirzuski. Hopefully, Dom, I'm saying your name correctly, but he's just dispatching of a little bit of lap traffic here going through the Montreal hairpin, and slowly working his way up towards the Hulk in P9 with RWB Audi. So again, the current gap is now under 10 seconds, so looks like Xerax is slowly reeling that the leading Porsche in. I don't know if Dominic's just maybe having a little bit of a relax to calm his nerves and save a little bit of energy for later in the race, or if it's just a case of the Porsche has used as much of its natural pace as it's going to, and they're just trying to safely bring it home with both the 89 Audi and just madly in the 76 Ferrari trying to chase them down. So what do we think, Chris? Do we figure that the leader will come under threat within the last 36 minutes of the race, or do you think it's just a matter of he's controlling that gap and just putting down or using the pace that he has to, rather than necessarily trying to put down everything he has and conserve some energy for the last half hour?
From what I'm seeing is he's trying to maintain that gap and also give himself a little bit of a breathing room. But it's also to think, if he gives himself a breathing room, he's giving the car breathing room. He's letting the tires, not so much as keep wearing out. He's trying to keep them at a plateau. So whenever, say, about 20 minutes to go comes around, he's ready to put elbows out and really get down into it.
Yeah, absolutely. If it comes down to a point where you're going to have to defend the position, obviously you're going to want as much the healthiest tires as you possibly can. Whereas obviously Etier is going to be looking to push and try and close that 10-second gap. It's now down to 9.5. And seems that he's dropped the Ferrari, although with it suddenly the gap to the Ferrari being up to 7 seconds, I wonder if perhaps that Ferrari's had a little bit of a difficulty navigating traffic or had an off somewhere. So chances are we're not going to see a repeat of round one with Emo Plate and just madly taking 2 wins in a row. But we're definitely seeing some interesting racing going on, as we're now on board with we're following Taranen, who's gotten all the way up into 5th position. As we're saying, these BMWs, even though they didn't necessarily start in the best position, they're definitely showing some strength of both the pace of the drivers, the pace of the cars, doing really well to make their way through and actually performing some quite spectacular overtakes on such a narrow track.
Indeed, it's all about the nerves and how you're gonna come across any little objections to you trying to make the best move possible. This is a narrow track, as you said. It's very treacherous. You got the curves on the outside, you got the big sausages on the inside. There's no real telling, you could have an understeer any moment. Who knows?
Hey, how's it going?
If you do, you're going to go on a trip. Nate, hello, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. Happy to be out of the car.
Well, how was the stint?
Just trying to survive. I don't like this track at all.
It's interesting how there's very much the polarizing opinions of Snetterton. Some people seem to really enjoy it. Other people just really don't get on with the track or really don't seem to like it. I would almost say Snetterton would be an amazing track if it were like 10 feet wider or something like that. Like the layout is still good, but it's just for that layout it's too narrow or something.
Or if it wasn't so bumpy if you touch the curbs.
And so I know the tire sets are unlimited, so it's not necessarily that big of a deal. But and did you manage to shred any tire sets or through the stints or in qualifying?
No, we managed our tires all right. It's just if you get off the curb a little bit too much, it really upsets the car.
Okay, because I know I've seen a few races or had or seen some situations where suddenly car seems to like lose all of its pace, and you talk to the driver afterwards, and it's like, oh yeah, I hit the exit curb of something like an Augie's or was it Nelson or one of the ones with the sharper exit curbs, and they just hit that one too many times and had a pressure loss or maybe even a slow puncture or something like that, and unfortunately the pace just got away. But we're now riding on board, and actually helmet cam with current leader Dominik Mirzyuski as oddly enough, easy in the sim, but we got the brief glimpse of helmet cam. What, as a brief digression, everybody, what do we think of the helmet-mounted cameras in Formula One these days? They're actually becoming very much the regular thing. It's not, you know, it's not a special occurrence to have a camera in the helmet. And it seems like it was. We've seen one with Fernando Alonso. We've seen one with Charles Leclerc. We saw Carlos Sainz wear one, I believe, earlier this weekend with the race at Imola coming up. What do we think? Do we like the Formula One helmet cam?
I believe it brings a fresh perspective. It used to be a very rare and special thing back in the 70s and 80s to have any sort of onboard, and now it's become more commonplace, but that doesn't make it any less special. It shows you what exactly those drivers have to put up with in the conditions of being in that race car throughout the duration of a race.
Yeah, exactly. And I think at one point we saw both. It was very obvious with Sainz, but especially when Pierre Gasly wore the onboard camera and seeing the porpoising effect. I think it's bumpy going around Snetterton. Imagine 300 kilometers an hour down some of these main straights in a Formula One car, and you're just bouncing like crazy. And when we see this in the onboard, it's just the image is doing nothing but shaking. So speaking of bumpy rides, our leader of the race right now coming across some traffic that they're going to have to navigate as we're seeing P2 there in the background, so that gap is coming down even more as it's at 6.3 seconds right now. But yes, back to that earlier point, seeing the porpoising effect that these new generation F1 cars with the time that Pierre Gasly wore the helmet cam, 300 kilometers an hour down one of those main straights, I don't know. I can't really fathom it. Just like the amount of violent shaking you must have, and you still have to keep this giant monster of a machine straight. I don't know. Is that something you guys would want to sign up for?
I'm all for it.
Hey, if I get the paycheck that comes with it, why not?
Yeah, yeah, that would be nice for Formula One drivers' paycheck and flat in Monaco. It's obviously a car enthusiast dream, but I think it's probably, other than a very, very select few, that's a little bit outside the realm of possibilities. But speaking of the helmet cam, we're now riding along with the driver's eye view with Mad Al in 14th position. Looks like based on the current gap and that the 46 McLaren has a drive-through that they're going to have to serve, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if we see Mad Al get that lucky 13 position back here shortly.
He has seemed to have a bit of a rough ride this race. Early on, taking a couple of laps down, and then just disappearing from our radar. Nobody never heard of if he was out or if he was in. He just kind of snuck around on us, and here he is back on the lead lap, so it would seem, and looking to make up another position.
Yep, Mad Al definitely being the ninja of the field today. Although we'll see if the ninja ends up holding the wooden spoon by the end of the race. Although with that drive-through that Kieran Millward is going to have to serve here shortly, I wouldn't be surprised if that position changes hands and they're going to have a little bit of a tussle towards the end. But speaking of tussles, we have Justin Madley as currently in third position, although he has Schaefer all over the back of him for that final podium position, but not too far back is that other BMW of Turunen, and so that final podium position, there's is far from over with the Ferrari and the two BMWs vying for that final podium position with Etier and Mirzewski off at least 4+ about 4 seconds up the road. So those two are definitely going to have a battle for who gets to take top spot on the podium. But the final podium spots, that one is definitely up for grabs with the two excellent performing BMWs and the lone Ferrari flying the flag for Maranello here in this race.
All right, I want to jump out of here. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for coming in,
stopping
Nate.
Nate.
No worries. No worries.
Just touching on something while you were speaking, Selena. Turo actually had one amazing run coming down through Brundle and into Nelson, coming up onto Schaefer this past lap.
Yeah, I was noticing that Turo seems to really have. I don't know if maybe he's optimized the setup a little bit more for that complex of corners, or he's just really got it nailed. As do we know is Turo now? I'm guessing it sounds a little bit finished to me. I don't know if anyone's able to confirm that, but if so, perhaps a little bit of Scandinavian rallying, a little bit of that Finnish sisu, if Turo is indeed Finnish on display. But unfortunately, I'm not familiar with everybody in the field as of yet, so I might be wrong on that one. But
yeah, he's Finnish. He's
Madly taking it a little bit deep there.
Oh yeah, madly do a little bit deep. But yeah, he's teamed up with Menacing Skull, but I don't think Skull's made it tonight. Yeah, so far I'm just having a look at the results for the first round, and it looks like, yeah, like you said, Aeroplate has won it with Justin Madley and Martin Schaefer, who was supposed to be doing it. Who is Martin Schaefer supposed to be doing it with? Peter Varga, but Peter Varga's not shown up. I don't believe, but I'm pretty sure Peter Varga will be happy with this result, coming from the back of the grid. Don't think they did qualifying, so that made sense. But yeah, but anyways, this BMW of the 77 of Turo is catching back up to Schaefer now. Let's go through Riches now and through to Montreal. Looking like the Ferrari might be able to get away a little bit, coming out of Montreal now, and BMW is all clamped together.
yeah, absolutely. The cars are Justin Madley got a little bit of a reprieve there with that side-by-side action through Brundle and Nelson. Those BMWs certainly seem to have the ascendancy through that particular complex, but the Ferrari and oddly enough the BMW, they're both excellent aerodynamic platforms, so they're showing as Madley gets a little has the Ferrari get a little bit upset, although I don't think that's going to cost him that position. But both cars being very aerodynamic or highly aerodynamically efficient packages, they're it doesn't surprise me that the two of both cars can do really well through this section again, as Schaefer's going to try again around the outside through Brundle and into Nelson as the Ferrari touches that inside curb there, and Schaefer manages to get through, and now Madley's going to be worrying about the attack coming from Turunen, and we'll see if he wants to get that position back. But the one thing with that Ferrari being so aerodynamic dependent is that car is unfortunately a little bit more pitch sensitive, and when you have a bumpy track like Snetterton, it's easier to upset the aero, whereas BMW specifically with this new M4, they learned their lesson a little bit with that M6 and found that that rather large beast of a car in the M6 was just a little bit too pitch sensitive, and that reliance on the under-tray downforce tended to bite them. Whereas with the M4 now being mostly being a lot more overbody, it doesn't surprise me that they're seeing some slightly better performance not only in real worlds in their real world performance, but also in the sim, it's a little easier for sim racers of various skill levels to really get a good handle on that car compared to the older M6, which was just so reliant on that under tray. There you go. The professor has spoken.
Well
Yeah,
done, Professor.
I was about to say, Frost has spoken, the Professor has spoken, and probably if Rob was here tonight, he'd probably say, yep, Professor. But yeah, anyways, folks, it's coming towards around about the last 20 minutes, and these people for the last podium, place on the podium, have a nice, a friendly fight, as it's getting a little bit hot in here, and I expect the track temperature to get a little bit hotter with these three cars icing it out with Hayden. Is it Hayden Bates or let me check. Harvey Bates just ahead of them as a back marker. He'll need to really pull out of the way for Martin Chafer on the main straight. Because this isn't going to be too well, and he does now. But Martin Chafer leading the last step of the podium, and it's not looking too well.
Bates smartly backing off, let those three cars that are in that battle get by, and I can say if I were in that position, I would definitely want to be getting out of the way. The last thing you want is to shortchange somebody in that battle, and then for them to have perhaps some choice words for you at the end. So well done to the Porsche there for just letting those three cars resume their battle for the final podium position there.
But anyways, folks, under 20 minutes to go, and the professor might want to calculate how long that is compared to the 2.4. I don't even know really, but yeah, the fastest lap on the track at the moment is it looks like it's going to be for P10, which is Ryan Warrington, who did a 1:48.2, which is roughly around a second quicker than our guys in 3, 4, and 5. Well, definitely 5th, as Turo is getting maybe a little bit of a bad end from that Ferrari. But anyways, Madley holding, maybe considering holding up the 77 for the last step of the podium, as the BMW ahead looks like he's getting away. Chris, what do you think of this battle?
Well, it seems like Chafer began his process of checking out and letting all this battle between Nyonin and Madley take place. He's well prepared to just continue on, make his way after Eater.
Yeah, but where do you think he's going? Where in the airport do you think he's going? If he's checking out?
Oh, maybe he's gonna get a nice vacation here, going down Bentley Straight, going down into Brundle. Let's see if it takes it nice and easy on him. Although coming down here into Agostini right now with Madley coming in. Turo behind him seems to try to find any purchase he can, but it seems that Madley's got a proper block going on for him.
Agreed. Well, anyways, folks, do you reckon we should discuss our driver of the day after this battle? Because I have a feeling that maybe there might be one up for Martin Chafer, or maybe one for Edwards and Jake Moore. But yeah, anyways, Madley's just trying to get every little ounce and every little nip out of the circuit to get away from that BMW, as it's just cruising round. The Ferrari is quite struggling round here, as the BMW goes a little bit wider than expected. Yeah. But anyways, last corner now onto the main straight, and the Ferrari's just got a bit of a gap to escape, as we see a herd of cars ahead going down to turn 1. That looks like the Audi of Ryan Warrington and If I'm correct, it is Ryan Warrington. We'll check our one up for you. No, it might be the Audi of R2V Audi. As they're going through the they're going through Montreal and down into Parma now, and the BMW of Martin Schaefer getting away nicely, but Justin Madley is not looking like he's gonna keep up. As 16 minutes left in this race, it's getting tight, folks. As Justin Madley is struggling to keep that spot, but it's keeping the door closed.
Yes, as things stand right now, it looks like Tronan is maybe it's getting a little bit wide there on the exit, but through Augie's there. But seems like if we're starting the driver of the day discussion, I think I'm going to have to say we're going to have to give that one to Martin Schaefer. At least that would be my vote, going from essentially a position of having to start with one driver not able to run qualifying, so not fulfilling the full qualification requirements, and now being all the way up into a podium position and just through on-track pace doing some awesome overtakes. That's going to be my vote of driver of the day, unless someone pulls off an absolute miracle in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it came from P16, I believe. Yes, he did. But anyways, this battle might get a bit more dicey as they come past the back marker. The BMW's on the back of the Ferrari. You can see that two tail lights now, and the fat rear wing as the Red Bull BMW machine making his way through Montreal. Goes a little bit deep, but taking the Sebastian Vettel line. That's going to keep creeping up in my commentary from now on, the Sebastian Vettel line. But anyways, just under 15 minutes, not looking very good for Justin Madley and the Steady Start Racing team as the BMW is making his way onto the back, and there might be a lead for the battle for the lead between Xerax and the car of number one, the Porsche. So we're gonna have to switch between these two if there's any dicey action. We're going to get a helicam now of these two cars going into Brundle for the 70th time this race, as it's getting close. The Porsche is maybe losing some tyre grip now. And Chris, do you want to take us through this battle?
Absolutely. Coming down into Coram, it looks like Dominic has quite a well lead on Etier. But coming down into Murray, it looks like Etier comes down with a little bit of a later braking. And it doesn't find him much purchase, though, as they come down through Santa Straight, getting set up, ready to come in through Riches. Let's see how it goes. Firing up down into Riches. Oh, my goodness. Look at that.
That was a big lunge from Xerax in the 89 Audi. And it looks like Madley's getting approached.
Oh, just a little bit of contact.
There's
hanging around the outside.
in the lead. That was maybe a dirty move for the defence. But Madley, I'm just going to give you a rough update on Madley and the 7-7. The 7-7, so it's roughly around 7 tenths. Well, 5 tenths now, it looks like. But we're going to keep watching the lead battle. And maybe at the end of the race we might be able to come through with some replays. I don't know about that one, but Nate might be able to sort it out. There's a yellow flag. Is this for Madley? We will quickly cut to him. The gap seemed to open up. So maybe not much has happened. But we're going to go back to Xerax and Dominic, who's having a good scrap for the lead now. At the Brundle, going down to Brundle on the Bentley Straight, and Xerax is going to take the normal line as the Porsche goes in a bit later, back onto the racing line, and the Audi seems to got a better exit now, and is closing the gap on the Porsche. and it looks like the Audi's got some better lap times, but it still looks like Schaefer might catch up with just under 4.5 seconds as the Audi takes the wider line through there down the main straight, the centre straight. Now, who will make it to the corner quicker? I know that Audi has some very good braking ability.
Is he going to fire it down on the inside again?
Possibly, but yeah, he'll leave that opportunity for maybe Montreal as he really closes up. The Porsche goes on the inside, forces him to go around the outside. Sebastian Vettel line, question mark? Oh, he has to back out because the Porsche covers the inside. But maybe, is it going to be one into Accuweather?
I think at this point, what we're seeing is Xerax is trying to very much hold the racing line, but he's going to be noticing that Dominic is very much taking these much narrower, more defensive lines, trying to hold the 89 Audi at bay. But when you start taking those narrower lines, what that's going to potentially open yourself up to is things like the cutback on the Montreal hairpin, because you're taking it so narrow and doing that very that washed out kind of sharper V can potentially give you a lot more acceleration out of that hairpin, and also given how much that Audi seems to really pull up in the straight, at least for the time being, I think at this point it's just a case of each person knows where their car is stronger, and it's kind of down to Xerax now to try and be in that position to take advantage, because that Porsche is really going defensive as much as it can, because I'm guessing the Porsche has done Porsche things and maybe eaten up those rear tires just a little bit too much over the course of the stint.
But anyways, I'm going to go to Martin Schaefer. He's caught up by, he had caught up by roughly around 3 seconds as the Audi's trying to make a move around the outside. Late brakes, here I come. But he's not going to make the move, but maybe into Montreal. There's a little bit of a touch there.
Between the two.
Contact into the Montreal hairpin. Now the Audi's on the outside and allows the Porsche to go down the inside. But the Porsche isn't going to leave, the Audi ain't going to leave any room. And into Parman now. The Audi's got the inside line. And he's going to force the Porsche outside. There's just a little scrape, but nothing big. As you can see Schaefer in the background. Now going into Accuweather. The big hairpin. As it looks, the leaderboard is changing every second. Schaefer's on the inside of the Porsche, leaving no room for the Porsche to have a go, and sadly gets the worst out of that exit, coming into Oggy's now, and the Porsche goes wide onto the grass, goes into Schaefer. No, he doesn't. Look like it. Schaefer has to back out, leading Xerax to go and maybe win this race with just over 8.5 minutes, and Schaefer is coming for that lead there, and he's in P2 now, but the Porsche is going to have the inside line, so it depends on whether the BMW can outbrake the Porsche, but it's going to look like it. The
definitely think that BMW is going to be able to outbrake the Porsche, especially if given what Wyszynski's been doing as of late with the defensive lines, and it looks like he's with it now being the second stint on what I'm assuming is the same set of tires, that Porsche is just it's kind of exhausted a lot of the life of those boots, whereas Xerax is probably still in somewhat decent shape for his tires, especially considering the pace, but having a bunch of experience with that BMW and the pace that Schaefer's been showing, and what I would assume is some tire longevity as well. Starting 16th, Martin Schaefer up into second position. I would say that BMW probably holds all the cards, and even though the Audi still probably got a strong hand, I think it's going to be, this last 7 minutes is going to be a really hard fought battle. So the driver of the day potentially
Martin Schaefer
has certainly cemented that case, and considering that 16th is pretty much for this field today dead last. Last to first challenge, anyone?
I mean, yeah, that's my regular jam on a public lobby. But for Martin Schaefer, this is just his normal day. But yeah, he's now coming out onto, well, coming through Williams now, and onto the back stretch, the Bentley straight now, all over the bumper of the Audi, as they're going to go into Brundle now. The BMW's got that straight line speed for some reason. I've never seen before. But down the inside into Brundle, no, he's not. He's going to back out and leave the Audi to live another day, as it's going to go bumper to bumper soon, and maybe wing to wing, hopefully in the next 6 minutes. And now, let's go through Bombshell. No, wait, is it called Bombshell? Is it called Bombhole? Oh, Bombhole. Oh, jeez. But yeah, coming through Correns or something. I really don't remember that corner. But yeah,
you're speaking
Murray's
of Bombhole in a past tense. It was Bombshell, then it became Bombhole.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, back to the race. Martin Schaefer is on the back of the Audi. The Audi probably has better brakes going into Riches, but for Montreal,
Schaefer's got.
Is it going to be a make or break for the BMW? The Audi takes the inside line, but it's going to be a cutback maybe for the BMW as the Sebastian Vettel line is used into full effect. Now, the Audi may have just got a little bit better out of that corner, but the BMW takes the wider line round Palmer and is going to try and make a good exit now. Hopefully into Accuweather. There could be a send. There could be, but it's not going to happen. It's just going to close up. And maybe Schaefer might make some good moves, but it looks like Xerax has made some, has really learned a lot from the #1 car of Dominic, who always took the defensive line. So maybe Xerax has learned, if I don't always take the defensive line, I might be able to get out better, as there's just under 5 minutes left of the race. Now, Schaefer, just under 2 temps. Or just over 2 temps now on the back straight now, going down to Brundle. It's a potential overtake manoeuvre. Is Schaefer going to really stretch out that overtake round through Brundle? As there's a tiny little scrape, but nothing. As the Audi goes really wide. It spins. The Audi spins and allows Schaefer to go through. As it's a make or break for Xerax. Xerax is held up now. Between Turo and Dominic has managed to escape away just to see Madley in the background. But it looks like Martin Schaefer might have won the race. Is this the last to first challenge? Maybe yes. But we're going to go towards Dominic and Justin Madley. Actually, wait, is Turo in the background? With yeah, Turo's in the background with your previous race leader, Xerax, who's going to try and make some late moves up the grid, as there's just under 4 minutes left of this race. Now, it's tiny compared to the 2.4 we've had. I wish we had the battle throughout the whole of 2.4, but my voice might have gone throughout then. But anyways, Madley is near. What are you going to say, Chris? Go on.
I honestly think that Eater actually burned up his tires, because I saw coming out from the rear view of Turo coming through Riches that he just washed out hard. Massive understeer. But
anyways, yeah, Turo has gone wide as well. Well, not really wide, but yeah. And now they come through Oggiers now. The Porsche is just ahead, and Justin Madley is just in front of the BMW of Turo as he makes his way just in front of Xerax. Now they're going into Brundle now. Will the Ferrari make any lead way on the Porsche? Now the Porsche goes a little bit wider than we wanted to see, as they all manoeuvre around the sausage curve on the inside for Nelson, and through Bomb Hole. Is it going to be a tight scrap for the lead? Now 76 laps done, possibly 77 coming up to now. Coming into Murray, the Ferrari's
definitely going to have to run on the Porsche.
zone.
That Porsche is starting to lose its rear end. It was starting to step out through Coram, so I wouldn't be entirely surprised if that Ferrari is going to have just flat out power at this point.
Oh, sorry to cut you off, but the Ferrari goes around the outside and well, tries to, and for Montreal it's going to be the inside or the outside, which is going to be better. The Porsche squeezes the Ferrari, but still there's still no contact, and the Porsche going to live another day, like I've said probably 1 or 2 times before. And behind you can see, just behind in the helicam, you can see Turo just making his way, coming into Accuweather behind, as Zerax seems to have made his way past. So Zerax is going to be on the fight for that second position on the podium, and we've just got over a minute left in this race. Why can't we have another 5 minutes, please, RTV? Make it 1 hour and a half. I mean, 2 hours and a half. But anyways, these three battling it out, and the Porsche goes a little bit wide, touches the grass, allowing Madley to make a little bit of a move onto the back of the Porsche, going through to Brundle. Zerax in the background, and Turo seems to have dropped off a little bit. Hopefully he can rejoin the fight, but it probably won't be that much possible. Porsche goes a little bit more wide than expected, and the Ferrari's on the back now. I feel like I'm taking the commentary booth up a bit, but it's necessary at the moment as they come through Coram and through into Murray. Zerax is on the back of the Ferrari, having a really strong final sector. And through the main straight, one more lap until the finish of this race. Schaefer looks like he's going to win it with roughly around a 4-second gap. But the Ferrari has really got to treat this like a 1-lap sprint now. And Zerax is on the back with just under maybe 4 attempts. And Zerax is going to go down the inside and doesn't make contact, but gets the worst exit that we've probably seen for a dive bomb, maybe, in this race. And that's going to maybe leave the #1 car to maybe get the 2nd position on the podium. But now we're probably going to see a fight between Zerax and Madley, as the Porsche seems to make a getaway. Zerax gets a decent entry and possibly decent exit, as we want to see how much can he gain throughout this next bit. Now go through Oggies and through to Williams. There's a little bit of bump, but it's all right. It was a let's just say friendly bump as they're coming through Williams now down the back stretch. The Audi of Zerax goes a little bit wide, allows Madley to close up the Porsche. Is this going to be a last potential overtaking opportunity?
On the inside?
Down the inside,
Yep.
Madley goes.
The inside.
Yeah, and the Porsche makes a good defensive move, leaving Madley out in the dust. And going through Bohal now, and through the final 2 corners, Coram. And it looks like Madley's just going to miss out, potentially. Is he going to be on the way for that podium spot? A real close-up. That allows Zerax to come in for the final spot, but not close enough. 1 more lap, and potentially that could have been a great fight. And Martin Schaefer is your winner, with the car #1 of Dominic to be your P2, and Justin Madley just in 3rd, as Zerax comes in 4th. And P5 you have Turo, followed by Patrick in the 193, who's going to make his way through Bomb Hole in a second now, and down to the final corners now. And Ian Simcox and Marion Edwards in P7 and P8. Phew, that was a very, very tense battle for the lead, and my voice is starting to go a little bit. But geez, folks, that was Type 1. But yeah, P8 and P7 and P8 goes to Ian Simcox and Marion Edwards with Jake Moore, who've had an unfortunate race. They were leading out the first half, and then spins and stuff happened. But they took home the fastest lap. P9 we have RWB Audi, followed by Ryan Borrington. And in P11 in the row Porsche we have Harvey Bates with Hayden Sweet. In P11, P12 we have Pinners, I believe, and Mad Allen P12. P13. Sorry, it's confusing on my timing screen. P14 P13 we have Josh Butler with Nate Newcomer, and in P14 we have Andrew Fairley. It's been a great race for all the folks today, and I thoroughly enjoyed commentating on it. What about you guys on the commentary booth?
Yeah, mad props to Martin Schaefer there. Basically, last to first challenge. Normally, obviously, that's the Formula One games public lobby when one of the aliens pops in. But to do that in a league race, especially one with competition as skilled as this, like I said, congratulations to Martin Schaefer. That was just an amazing driver of the day.
Absolutely outstanding drive by Mr. Schaefer. I was thoroughly impressed by his gumption and his ability to rise to the occasion and go from last to first. Man, what a ride.
Yeah, it was a very interesting. Well, it was very interesting seeing him make a last to first appearance. And to be honest, I thought he'd make it to maybe P4 and stuff. But geez, how has he done that? Is my question. He's absolutely sent it, licked the stamp, and said, "You know what? I'm going to win today." But anyways, I think we're going to wait for some maybe some post-race interviews. I don't know if we're going to get any. But anyways. But yeah, I think we all agree. Drive of the day, Martin Schaefer. A solid, a very, very solid like comeback for him, and for him to qualify P16, that was great.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic drive. Some excellent defending towards the end of the race from Merzewski, and I would say the round one winners with Emma Polite and Justin Medley. Two races, one win, one third place. That should definitely give them a pretty good good lead in the standings so far. So be interesting to see how the rest of the championship pans out, especially now. I think the next couple of circuits is probably going to very much lend itself to not only the new Audi but the Ferrari and those BMWs that were showing a surprising amount of pace here today at Snetterton.
Well, yeah, the pace from those Audis and those BMWs as well, especially around here. I didn't expect them to be that good, but if I'm in a public lobby at Snetterton, I'll probably use a BMW or the new Audi. But that was great, and sadly, I don't think we'll have any post-race interviews today. So it's been great. But anyways, I'll quickly run you through the next event that's going on. So tomorrow night, or on Monday night, Monday early morning, we have the Twilight M2 Cup, or the Twilight Hour Cup, which is at midnight, or past midnight for the British people. But yeah, it was a great race here. And hello, Dominino.
Hello.
You alright?
I'm alright. I'm a bit bitter that we didn't get the win, but the podium is a absolutely great result anyway.
Yeah, you did absolutely amazing keeping that spot. Which how did you find the race? Was it tough, or was it a bit of a heartbreak, or how did you find it?
It was absolutely one of the most fun races I've had in sim racing, definitely. Also, my first time on Snetterton. I've done probably like 50 laps of practice before the race, and the pace was good anyway, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
It was a very fun fight against Etier, but sadly I killed the tires. I had 26 psi on both the right tires in the end. If not for that and for the shenanigans with the back markers, I would have maybe took a win. But honestly, that's my first podium in sim racing ever, and I'm still really happy about that.
Yeah, it was great to see you just make away with that. With that podium. But oh geez, I'm sweating a little bit from that, and that was if you check the stream, you'll see how interesting that was to commentate on. As yeah, we made 79 laps in that race. So
Yeah, my teammate also kept me updated. He told me that you were putting on our fight with Etier on display, so that's good. Also,
Yeah.
kudos to Jack. He did an amazing job, pretty much putting 47th race pace all the time. Without him, we wouldn't get the podium definitely. And if he had a quicker teammate, maybe that would be a win. But
I mean,
but
you
yeah.
did perfectly fine. You did absolutely amazing to keep
Thank you.
that P2.
Thank you,
But,
thank you.
oh, jeez. Would you like to say any more thanks? Anybody?
Myself. Well, obviously to Jack, and we're pretty much only a two-person team. We don't have any company or any organization behind us. But thanks to the coordinators, of course, for putting on the server and stuff. Yeah, thanks to Jack once again.
Yeah. Well, anyway, folks, I was only supposed to be doing the cameras tonight, but it seems like I've took the show a bit. But anyways, I'll quickly run through the events that are going on this week with RWB. So we've got the Twilight Hours, I've previously mentioned. And on Wednesday, we have the Wreck Fest Wednesdays. Sadly, the Constructors' Championship has just ended, but there'll probably be another season of that coming up soon. Not too sure. But on Thursday, we do have the Rookie and Pro Night. So basically, just hop in, learn the tracks, and see what the pros are doing and improve. On Fridays, we do have two events. We have the TGI Fridays. New Motion Racing presents TGI Fridays. Thank God it's Fridays. And also we have Quest Fridays from the AMS2 side. But apart from that, that's it, folks. And thank you for allowing me to commentate. Thank you to Nate, newcomer, who set up the stream, and Charger and Madley for racing and stuff. Anything else to say, boys?
Just an outstanding performance, and if this is what round 2 is, I can't wait for round 3.
Oh,
No
yeah.
flashing.
Jeez. Yeah. Celine, you want to say anything?
Nope, nothing really to add. Just again, one more final congratulations to Martin Schaefer with that last to first drive. That was incredibly well done and very inspiring.
Well, yeah. Well, anyways, folks, as Rob normally says, it's bye for now.